Hello and welcome to the service on behalf of Monton Unitarian Church for Sunday the 13th of June. And our theme is in the form of a quote, which some of you may recognise. "We be of one blood, ye and I." I shall begin by lighting our chalice candle. Come whoever you are. Do you hear that voice calling you, calling us? That voice which calls us together here today, in this space made holy by our presence and by the sacred breath we share in our singing and speaking and silence. That voice which calls us to remember that we are not alone, and that we are inextricably linked to all other life, woven into a vast tapestry of existence of which we are a powerful, integral, and holy part. And just as we have been called together here today, we act as the voice, the heart, the hands of another call. The call to walk with the wanderers, sing and dance with the worshippers, proclaim the memory of those who have taken their leave, wrap the despairing and the broken in the arms of love and community, and hold the hands of all of us who have broken our vows, and call us back, again and again, to the covenant and work of justice, humility, and steadfast faithfulness. For this, we are here together today. So, my friends, come yet again, and let us worship together. And let us join together now in a time of prayer. Spirit of life and love, we meet on holy ground, for that place is holy where lives touch, love moves, hope stirs. How much we need this moment before the eternal, the time to be in reverence before the ultimate, the pause that renews, the interlude that refreshes, the space that gives us room to be. We meet on holy ground, brought into being as life encounters life, as personal histories merge into the communal story, as we take on the pride and pain of our companions, as separate selves become community. How desperate is our need for one another, our silent beckoning to our neighbours, our invitations to share life and death together, our welcome into the lives of those we meet, and their welcome into our own. May our souls capture this treasured time. May our spirits celebrate our meeting in this time and in this space, for we meet on holy ground. Amen. Some of you, maybe most of you, will know this story. But maybe it's one of those stories that we recognise but never really properly think about what it's saying. It's been retold in so many traditions, it doesn't really matter which you've heard, but this is the version written by the Reverend Bill Darlison. It's called Chopsticks. So, once upon a time, a woman prayed that God would show her the difference between heaven and hell. She wanted to know whether there were fires in hell and whether the people in heaven sat around on clouds all day playing harps. because she didn't fancy going to either place if that was all they had to offer. Well, she prayed so hard that God decided to answer her prayer, and he sent an angel to give her a quick guided tour of both places. First, she went to hell. Well, it wasn't hot at all. In fact, it looked quite pleasant. There were long tables laden with food of all kinds, cooked meats, vegetables, fruit, delicious pies and exotic desserts. Well, this can't be hell, she thought. And then she looked at the people. They were sitting some distance from the tables, and they were all miserable, emaciated, pale, angry. Each of them had chopsticks fastened to their hands, but the chopsticks were about 3 feet long, and no matter how hard they tried, the people just couldn't get the food into their mouths. They were groaning with hunger and frustration and anger. "Yeah, I've seen enough of this," said the woman. "May I see heaven now?" The angel took the woman to heaven. They didn't have far to go. It was just next door. It was almost the same as hell. Same kinds of tables, same kinds of food, and here too the people were sitting a little distance from the tables with 3-foot-long chopsticks fastened to their hands. But these people seemed happy. They were rosy-cheeked and looked well-fed. They were smiling and chatting merrily to each other. They couldn't put the food into their own mouths either, but they had discovered how to be fed and happy. They were feeding each other. Fellowship in action. If we look after each other, then in turn we will be looked after. If we feed each other, we shall be fed. And if we love each other, we too will know that we are loved. Of course, it could be said as well that 3-foot-long chopsticks could be useful in a pandemic. A similar type of reading, but from a much more serious source, the Bible. This comes from the first letter to the Corinthians, chapter 12, verses 4 to 26. For as the body is one and has many members, but all the members of that one body, being many, are one body, so also is God. For by one Spirit we were all baptized into one body, whether Jews or Greeks, whether slaves or free, and have all been made to drink into one Spirit. For in fact the body is not one member, but many. If the foot should say, "Because I am not a hand, I am not of the body," is it therefore not of the body? And if the ear should say, "Because I am not an eye, I am not of the body," is it therefore not of the body? If the whole body were an eye, where would be the hearing? If the whole were hearing, where would be the smelling? But now God has set the members, each one of them, in the body just as he pleased. And if they were all one member, where would the body be? But now indeed there are many members, yet one body. And the eye cannot say to the hand, "I have no need of you," nor again the head to the feet, "I have no need of you." No, much rather those members of the body which seem to be weaker are necessary. And those members of the body which we think to be less honourable, on these we bestow greater honour. And our unpresentable parts have greater modesty, but our presentable parts have no need. But God composed the body, having given greater honour to that part which lacks it, that there should be no schism in the body, but that the members should have the same care for one another. And if one member suffers, all the members suffer with it. Or if one member is honoured, all the members rejoice with it. Let's join once more in a time of prayer. And there is a refrain with this. If you wish to join in, the words are, "May we reach out in honesty and love." Spirit of love, we stand too often divided, too often set apart from one another in heedless ways. We seek to be compassionate, but our vision may be clouded or distracted. We too often go forward day by day and look without seeing. May we reach out in honesty and love. May we work to heal the divisions which separate Earth's children, one from another. May we peer through the mists of deception which hide and deny violence, mists enclosing those who suffer. May we not allow the misuse of our fellow souls to hide in broad daylight. May we reach out in honesty and love. When we see the afflicted, however they may be afflicted, may we not shrink away. May we not blame suffering on the one who suffers. May we be courageous enough to perceive suffering and compassionate enough to attend to the voices of those who suffer. May we reach out in honesty and love. When we see prejudice, when we hear evil speaking, when we witness the rough hand or the scathing word laid upon the helpless or innocent, may we resolve to work towards unity and justice. May we reach out in honesty and love. May we not turn away from the wounded head of the abused. May we not accept the twisted reasoning by which the oppressor declares himself the victim. May we reach out in honesty and love. Let our gratitude for good fortune in our lives lead us not to complacency, but to awareness. Awareness of those whose lives are shadowed by abuse or neglect. May we not ignore signs of deceit or denial that hide brutality. May we reach out in honesty and love. In all things, may those who suffer ever be able to approach us, find a kindly ear and supporting hand. May we witness for love and justice at every level of relationship. May we nurture a keen eye and a strong and loving heart for any who fear the hurtful rod, the cutting voice, the uneven hand, the chain of oppression, great or small. May we always be ready to reach out in honesty and love. Amen. Before our reflection, I'd like to share with you two more readings now, both short, that both have important things to say about the value of welcome and fellowship that we offer to each other. First of all, by Michael de Vernon-Boblet, Our House. May the walls of this house be strong in the face of storms, whether of winds or of words, whether of thunder or of tyranny. May the windows of this house be clear to the world's light, whether of dawns or of daring, whether of sunsets or of stillness. May the foundations of this house be firm upon the good earth, whether of soil or of sharing, whether of bedrock or of behaviour. May the doors of this house be wide to all that come from afar, whether poems or people, whether songs or strangers. May this house embrace, like a graceful chalice, the flame it cannot define or limit, as a heart enshrines hopes larger than its beating walls. And secondly, from John O'Donoghue. For reference, Anam Cara, which is mentioned at the end of this, stands for soul friend. It comes from the Irish Anam Cara. Anam is soul, Cara is friend. May you be blessed with good friends, and learn to be a good friend to yourself, journeying to that place in your soul where there is love, warmth and feeling. May this change you. May it transfigure what is negative, distant or cold within your heart. May you be brought into real passion, kindness and belonging. May you treasure your friends. May you be good to them and be there for them, and offering all the challenges, truth and light they need. May you never be isolated, but know the embrace of your Anam Cara. C.S. Lewis said, "Friendship is unnecessary, like philosophy, like art. It has no survival value, rather is one of those things that give value to survival." Now, I'm not prone to arguing with C.S. Lewis. He was an awful lot better read than I am, to say nothing about the fact that he isn't around to defend himself. And I'm not going to argue with him on the statement I just read either. Friendship is unnecessary, like philosophy, like art. It has no survival value. Rather, it is one of those things that give value to survival. I had to read it twice, mind you, because at first I just saw the friendship is unnecessary. Now that I would argue with. But what he was saying was that to exist, you do not need friendship. You need food and water and warmth and not much else. But there is a huge difference between existing, or surviving, as C.S. Lewis put it, and living. Survival, or existence, is made bright and beautiful by friendships. The knowledge that there are people who will share both the smiles and sadnesses of life, who will support you when times are rough and dance with you when times are joyful, is, in my opinion, one of the most precious things we can have. Our readings today have all talked about the fellowship that is part of what we and our church should be offering, whether directly or indirectly. Michael Boblett's reading reminds us to keep our walls strong, our windows clear, our foundations firm. But most importantly, may the doors of this house be wide to all that come from afar, whether poems or people, whether songs or strangers, and so embrace hope. John O'Donoghue encourages us to treasure your friends. May you be good to them and be there for them, offering all the challenges, truth and light they need. And the reading from the Bible explains that there should be no schism in the body, but that the members should have the same care for one another. And if one member suffers, all the members suffer with it. Or if one member is honoured, all the members rejoice with it. For some reason that I can't quite put my finger on, that reading reminded me of the Jungle Book. Mowgli, the young boy found and raised by a wolf family, who in order to survive as a definite stranger in the jungle has to learn all the passphrases of all the animals. And the master phrase, "We be of one blood, ye and I." We be of one blood. And we are, of course. Across nationalities, across continents, colours of skin, genders, orientations, all the other differences that might divide us, we all breathe the same air, and we all bleed the same red stuff. And we all need fellowship. And the story, good old chopsticks, is a clear demonstration of the difference that fellowship and compassion for one another can make. Do we sit hungry and starving, bitter and lonely in our own corners? Or do we come out of our shells, smile at each other, offer our hands and hearts to each other, and create community? And if we do that, how much potential for transformation is there, both in ourselves and in the community itself? Of course, there's a lot of quotes about friendship and fellowship. I went on the internet for a bit of fun, as one does, and was completely swamped with pithy comments about the wonderfulness of friendship. For example, Walter Winchell said, "A real friend is one who walks in when the rest of the world walks out." Les Wine, "A friend is someone who is there for you when he'd rather be anywhere else." One that didn't come with any sauce, but is rather beautiful, says, "A friend is someone who knows the song in your heart and can sing it back to you when you have forgotten the words." And even the rather humorous, "I might give my life for my friend, but he'd better not ask me to do up a parcel." That's Logan Pearsall Smith. That last one, of course, is based on the saying of Jesus, "Greater love hath no man than this, that a man lay down his life for his friends." John 15. There are numerous tales in both Old and New Testament about the value of friendship and how true friendship is a treasure to unearth. They do all make the point, however, that there is a noticeable difference between two types of friendship. The one that is mere acquaintance, the other that is something much more valuable and worthy. This is echoed in Hindu scriptures. In the epic Mahabharata, which describes the life of Lord Krishna, the stories demonstrate the many colours of friendship: affection, romance, comradeship, protection, guidance, intimacy, even teasing. Friendship is about all of these and so much more. Why am I telling you all this? I know you already know how valuable friends are. It's very simple. Friendship is a two-way thing. It is something to be given as well as received. And every now and again it's worth asking ourselves, in the quiet moments, how good a friend am I? Not just to my best friend, but to all the other people in your life. Do I remember to give the gift of friendship as well as take it? And if not, what am I going to do about it? Because in this society where so many people are isolated, lonely, struggling with fears and pressures or other sadnesses, we need to be the very best friends that we can to all those around us. We need, as in our reading, to treasure our friends, be good to them and be there for them, offering all the challenges, truth and light they need. I'm sure I've mentioned this before, but Winnie the Pooh has a lot of wisdom. Indeed, in 1997, the United Nations named Winnie the Pooh as the world's ambassador of friendship. I'm also sure that some of the snippets of Winnie the Pooh found on the web aren't quite historically accurate, but this story is one that really demonstrates true friendship and fellowship. I first encountered it on the order of service for the funeral of a dear friend of ours, Graham Holt, and I've never forgotten it. It goes like this. Today was a difficult day, said Pooh. There was a pause. Do you want to talk about it? Asked Piglet. No, said Pooh after a bit. No, I don't think I do. That's okay, said Piglet, and he came and sat beside his friend. What are you doing? Asked Pooh. Nothing really, said Piglet. Only I know what difficult days are like. I quite often don't feel like talking about it on my difficult days either. But goodness, continued Piglet, difficult days are so much easier when you know you've got someone there for you. And I'll always be here for you, Pooh. And as Pooh sat there, working through in his head his difficult day, while the solid, reliable Piglet sat next to him, quietly swinging his little legs, he thought that his best friend had never been more right. Actually, it's Piglet that has all the wisdom, it would seem. So we'll end with Piglet's best gift of friendship ever. I don't feel very much like Pooh today, said Pooh. There, said Piglet. I'll bring you tea and honey until you do. May we all be ready and willing to bring tea and honey until we feel like ourselves again. And so, a blessing. As we part now, one from another, let these be our thoughts. If that which is most holy lies within the human person, and if the greatest power in the world shines flickering and uncertain from each individual heart, then it is easy to see the value of human associations dedicated to nurturing that light. For the power of good in any one of us must at times waver. But when a group together is dedicated to nurturing the power of good, it is rare for the light to grow dim in all individuals at the same moment. So we borrow courage and wisdom from one another to warm us and keep us until we are together again. Thank you for your fellowship. Amen. And thank you so much for joining me once more for these services. And I'll see you Same time next week. You in your home and me in mine, together in our hearts. Until then, stay safe, stay strong, and know that you are loved.